Good morning, everyone. My name is Leon Stein. I am the National Marketing Manager for Preferred Solutions. I will be facilitating this session from the background and just doing a little bit of an introduction on Preferred Solutions and who will be presenting for the day. So Preferred Solutions has been in existence since 1991. Traditionally, we specialize in Sage accounting and payroll software, but today we are going to present a really exciting product called Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, particularly something we call MBC Go, which is an easy to implement option for smaller businesses. Your presenters for the day is going to be Tian Lotte from Preferred Solutions. He is our MBC champion and implementer, and also Bernie During. He's an enablement partner working very closely with Preferred Solutions. He will do a more proper introduction on their services during his part of the live demo. Just a few arrangements while we are starting. Please ensure that your mic is muted so that there's no sound interruption. I have muted a few of you guys, so please don't turn it on again, as well as the video. The session is recorded so that we can share it with you afterwards if you want to go back and get more information for it. We will send the recording to you within 2 business days after, when we have edited it and uploaded it to YouTube. If you have any questions, you will see at the bar, depending on which device you use, there is a chat box. You can put in your questions there during the meeting itself. The most generic questions, which would benefit all clients, will be answered during the Q&A session at the end of this presentation. If it is a question that's more company specific or has a very complicated answer, we will get back to you in writing within 1 business day. If you have any disconnection issues, that's fine. The recording would be there. I'm going to give over to Tian Lotte to start and do an introduction on what MBC Go is exactly. Enjoy the session.
Thank you, Leon. Good morning, everybody. I hope you can hear me fine. So we at Preferred Solutions have been in business for a very long time, as Leon mentioned, and we effectively realized that we need to find a true cloud offering for our market, for South African market, and more specifically the small, medium-sized businesses in South Africa. You know, traditionally the customers that would have bought Sage 1, Pastel Partner, Sage Evolution, Xero, Zoho Financials. You know, we're not saying that Preferred Solutions traditionally looked for clients that has hundreds and hundreds of users, although that's definitely something we are geared for, and we do. But as a total, we have about 4,000 customers, and we realized that we need to get a more sexy solution for the cloud. And in this, process, I found a product called Microsoft Business Central, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central, and then I partnered with Liquid Telecoms, with Brooke and Bernie and Lee, that we've had a long relationship with before that somehow. Yeah, so then we can go on to the next slide. So what we found is that within Business Central, it's an entire ERP. So it's effectively any feature that you can look for in a business management software, you'll find in Business Central. So there's full on best of breed manufacturing and production. There's full on CRM built in. There's production, job costing, procurement and authorization and approvals. There's service management and service desk features. And then you can obviously switch on the Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365 CRM, and we'll get into the product a bit later. So I'm not going to get too much into the features, but needless to say, we found that this is an incredibly comprehensive solution. However, you know, if you're just looking for something that does the books, the debits and the credits, you don't want to have a multi-100,000 Rand project. So I'm just going to mute some people here. So yeah, so you don't want to have a multi-100,000 Rand, multi-month/year project to implement this. Now, what Microsoft has enabled us to do with this product is something they call Rapid Start, and we've kind of tailored this and bundled it and called it MBC Go, just because it sounds like 1, 2, 3, go, right? And it really is that simple. So what we have done is we've basically taken a template company, pre-configured it the way you would if you were going to, create a new company, and for example, Pastel Partner or even Evolution, you can run the wizard, or Sage 200, they call it now. And we've built that wizard to deploy a company, so we can guarantee the upfront costs. We can plan the more complicated features that you might require in the future. But for the conversion from desktop to cloud, you don't have to worry about now you have to use all of these features, because that's what the system does, and that's how it does it. So you can go on to the next slide. Yeah. So the features that we're going to highlight and that you get in the box with Microsoft Business Central is, like I said, unlimited. Well, I didn't say this yet, but you get unlimited companies. So there's no cost per company. The only cost you pay is per user that needs to connect. And there are effectively 3 different licenses that we'll look at in a second as well. Then obviously within that product, you get inventory. Warehousing is part of the standard product, and then item tracking. So if you do lot tracking, serial number tracking, package tracking, that's all in the box. Assemblies, so I mentioned production earlier. Production is with time constraints and capacity constraints. Assemblies is more a feature that we can compare to Pastel Partner and Pastel Evolution manufacturing, where you can do backflash assembly, sell kits, price kits, and plan bill of materials, and purchasing of bill of materials. Like we mentioned, CRM, purchase planning, job costing is all in the box, and effectively works with this MBC Go. Timesheets, sales forecasts, this is all training. You don't pay extra for any of these features. They're all in the box. No extra subscriptions, no license fees around it. You might need a bit more training if you're going to go into like epic job costing, but again, it's all in the box, and it'll cost you a bit of training, an hour or 2. Thanks, Leon. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so yeah, so within the box, obviously, we also have AI built in. Bernie is going to show us a bit of that a bit later, and machine learning, and really, really powerful, especially if you do inventory. The planning features within Business Central, you're going to be hard pressed to find better anyway. And then a really important thing that Microsoft brings to the table is this, what they call the modern workplace. So there's the Power Apps or Power Platform. It's called Power Platform. So Microsoft's got this product stack called Power BI, Power Automate, Power Apps. And I implore you to go Google it. Each of these things stand alone, work on their own as well. But Microsoft has done a whole lot of work around what they call the modern workplace, and how you can do. Sorry, I just see there's a question about my mic. I'm going to just see if there is something I can do before I go on. Let me just go in here. Sorry, I just want to throw back there. Where
Tim, just Just to let you know, your mic sounds fine on my side.
Okay. Thank you, whoever that was. It was Bernie.
Bernie, yeah.
Okay. So finance is the only one I can see there. So maybe you can try and turn up your volume. Sorry to say that. Okay. So yeah, so the Power Platform and Microsoft brings all of the products together by removing the seams between the products effectively. And we're going to look at a lot of those things. It's great. Oh, you lost me there, Dan. Okay, so yeah, I mean, we spoke about the integration. Office 365, yeah, you can go on to next. So Office 365 integration, we'll show you as well, but Microsoft effectively went and said, well, we've got all these apps. Why aren't, they working together? Everybody uses Excel for, to maintain customers and inventory prices and, budgets. Why is it still import export? If we've got Business Central and we've got Excel, why don't we just make the two talk to each other directly? And they've done that in a big way. If you can go to the next slide, thanks. So and this is just a little bit of further highlights. This is often the questions that we get asked. Can I link attachments? Is there approval workflows in it? Can I integrate to other systems? So my web store, can I integrate that? Or I've got 3PL and I need to integrate it with a warehouse. Are these things possible? And within Business Central, a significant thing that's slightly technical, so bear with me, but a significant thing within Business Central is that we can host a web service in the Microsoft Business Central environment. So we could effectively write a web service that does posting of invoices and just give you a web endpoint to write to. I say effectively, but practically that's how we do it. And Preferred Solutions have done a lot of these solutions already. And we have standard apps that we've written that you can subscribe, that we can give to you, and if you needed to do that. The third-party integration obviously is outside of the MBC Go per se, but we have bundled these features together so that the time to value is basically, if you're happy with the standardized GL that we give you, you can be live within a week. So effectively, it's training. So if you could go to the next slide for me, then. And we're going to look at the reasons why Business Central is right for South African SMEs, because, like I said, there are oftentimes a lot of, well, not often, there are a lot of options for you if you start looking for true cloud solutions. And Preferred Solutions had to find out what's right for our customer base, and that really is the South African SME. So you can go to the next slide there. And the first thing is, I spoke a little bit about this, where Microsoft Business Central allows us to host web services in their application, but they also allow us to add features, our own features, in such a way that you don't have to customize the standard application, so you don't get stuck on versions. Yes, it's a cloud-based product, but it still upgrades. So when we do a customization, we install it in your environment. The environment can still upgrade forever. If there are issues, Microsoft actually tells me directly, hang on, you've got an extension on customer X's environment or customization. You need to update it before we can upgrade them. Everybody keeps working, and you can, and we obviously can upgrade, do the necessary upgrades. One of these customizations that Preferred Solutions has done is the cash books. So, oftentimes, and without fail, the international systems do not have cash books, because that's a South African thing we do, where we do have a special journal just for our bank accounts. This import bank statement, map the transaction, the text on the bank statement to accounts with VAT configuration, foreign currency configurations. We've actually written that up, and you get that as part of the Business Central, the MBC Go that preferred solution does. So that's a big tick. I know that a lot of you guys that have been looking at cloud-based solutions, this is a big problem for you, and preferred solutions has solved it, and we maintain it for you. The second reason to go to Business Central is VAT configuration reports. With MBC Go, we've pre-configured this to work, so you're VAT compliant from day one. You don't have to worry about now it's some international US-based tax system that you have to now hack to work in the South African environment, or some weird reporting subscription that you have to go subscribe to get the reports you need. Well, that is in the box with MBC Go. The third reason is obviously, the financial system. It's a financial system. Business Central is based on product that used to be called NAV, Navision. Bernie will know more about all the names it's ever had, but out of the box, it is a financial system, and it's a very mature financial system. It's been in the market for 30 odd years, so there aren't these glaring gaps of, oh, now I have to write my own income statement or trial balance or statements or whatever. It's all in the box. Recurring billing is the fourth one. So you can literally create recurring transactions. This is also something that Preferred Solutions have added for sales documents through an extension, but you can also do the same with journals and any transaction. Incidentally, on that, fixed assets is also a standard feature, a standard part of Business Central. It comes pre-configured. After that, obviously, we spoke about monthly statements, and that's the first reason. A lot, yeah, Leon, you can go on. A lot of our competitive products out there have very limited features around statements, and Business Central gives that to us. Then we spoke about reason 6 and 7 is the CRM and the general ledger that are being pre-configured. So you literally just have to add users, in order to go, and that's why we call it MBC Go, because we effectively built a solution to implement by just training, and ultimately that allows us to have a base off of which we can go on to the next slide, off of which we can import your master data. So if you have customers and vendors and inventory items and locations or whatever else you need to import, then we either show you how to import and you import it yourself, or we can import it for you via Excel. It's very straightforward. Effectively, we then also include this standardized end user training, because MBC Go is a solution on its own. And yes, if you wanted to have a custom implementation and make it do all the bells and whistles and switch on the coffee machine, we can cater for that as Preferred Solutions and with Business Central. But as a phase one, or as to just convert from Pastel Partner or just to go to the cloud, we've really standardized this entire solution and the training so that you can do your ABCs of your day-to-day that you were doing before, you can do after go live on MBC Go. Invariably, what we find is people Google the product, they find out all these features and all the amazing features that they want, and they keep pulling us to say, okay, well, now let's switch on work in progress. Let's do this. Let's do that. So again, that's the cool thing about Business Central. You're not starting off at the maximum features of the product. You're starting off at the minimum end, and then if you need to add things, you don't have to re-platform to get new features. You just have to train, configure, and use those new features. Ultimately, that brings us to the 10th reason to this is a great product for South African SMBs, and it's a really quick go live. So it is a new product. It's not something that you're used to using. I find that Stage 1 users are typically the users that adopt it easier, because they're already used to working in the browser and like this cloud approach to things. There are a couple of nuances, but with MBC, Microsoft Business Central, it's all about getting you re-platformed, training you. It's about 2 days of training that we do, and that's as quick as well. That's what you need to go live. Cool. Then the big question, right? How much does it cost? So you can just skip on to the next slide there as well. Yeah. So I said earlier that there's effectively 4 different licenses for Business Central. There's a team member license, which is, let's call it $10 per month, 160 rand, give or take on exchange rate, right? And now you can pay any of these licenses. You can pay annually, right? And we suggest that because it's not like you typically going to re-platform. This is, like I said, a very long-term product, and there will be features for your conceivable future of your business in the product. But yeah, so if you pay this upfront, it's 20% off on any of the prices, right? So it's 960 for team member. That uses view-only users. So if you're a business manager, you only want to run reports and maybe do approvals, then that's the user for you. You can also do quotes and requisition worksheets if you have to buy something or quote a customer. So there are use cases for like certain users to use this. The essential license is the license you're going to need. That's your full license. That's the user that does all of the processing, actions, and creating of master records, things. That's $84. If you pay taking it per month, that's $70 annually per month. Obviously, but effectively this let's call it 1,500 rand. It's around there. It's maybe 2,200 rand around there. That's what it's cost you per month per user for forever, and that includes all of your infrastructure. It includes a single sign-on with Office 365, the integration, everything. I can't say that enough. Is that sorry, my phone just rang. My headset is connected to that. The premium license is if you want to add the service management and advanced manufacturing. So that's manufacturing with time constraints and capacity constraints, and the same with service management, time and capacity constraints. Those features really are outside MBC Go. That's a very custom project, and I mean that's when you want to make it to talk to the coffee machine, right? There's then also a or $40 per month if you're paying it annually, and that it's basically for it's a per device. So you register, you're licensing the computer, not the user on it. So you can have 5 users using the same machine. So yeah, point of sale, shop floor type of warehouse devices where you share scanners, maybe. So they would make sense to rather license the device than the users, because you might have 10 people in the warehouse, but 3 scanners. So it's better to get 3 licenses because not all 10 of them can go in at the same time anyway. So that's the cost of the software. Then if you go on to the next slide for us, please, Leon. There's then this Preferred Solutions South African localization. That's MBC Go. It's 1,000 rand per month for that subscription, and that gives you all of the features and the South African features and maintenance of that. The project to implement. I see that we missed that slide here, but the project to implement starts at 18,000 rand, and for that, if we don't import your current master data, and it goes up to 30,000 rand if you want us to also import your customers, suppliers, inventory items, and do some configuration around warehousing and things like that. We have also modularized certain things. So effectively, we look at about 4-hour workshops if you want to do something custom on top of it. So let's say you want to have MBC Go, you're happy with a standardized GL that you get, it looks very similar to Vessel Partner, the posting of it. You have inventory and you want inventory to integrate custom per area or per location or per work center, per cost center, whatever you want. Then obviously there's what we call it like a 4-hour little workshop where we have to obviously just define that and do the customization on that. CRM is a good thing there if you want your own custom sales cycles. There's a 4-hour workshop that we do, and that and then we can add to your current MBC Go features to cater for your specific business. So yeah, that's MBC Go. That really is that's the fine print, right? So let's get into the actual product. Let's look at what this looks like. I'm going to hand over to Bernie. Bernie has been doing Business Central from basically day one, when it was called Navision still, or maybe it was even called something else before that. So I don't think there's many people in the world that know the solution better than him. So we asked him to come and do the demo for you. Bernie, over to you.
Excellent, thanks, Tian. Let me just share my screen. Hopefully you guys are looking at my screen now. Can someone just confirm for me quickly? Can you hear me properly?
Yeah, we can hear you fine, Bernie.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. Okay, cool. So just a quick introduction. My name is Bernie. Like Tian said, I started working for Navision South Africa when they opened up in South Africa back in 1997. I've been working with the product ever since. I was actually a Microsoft certified trainer before I joined Navision. And I left the Microsoft world to join Navision, and then ended right back up at Microsoft when the company got bought by Microsoft. I think it was 2001 or 2002, somewhere around there. At present, I am helping Liquid Technologies. They are, and I'm helping them in the capacity as the product technology specialist, as well as the Microsoft certified trainer in the Middle East and African markets for partner enablement. So that's one of the main things that we do on behalf of Microsoft. We do partner enablement. So what we do is we find partners, we train them, we help them throughout all phases of everything that needs to happen to get a partner up and running with Business Central. We also assist them with pre-sales engagements like this. This is a marketing campaign that Microsoft is running at the moment, where we're doing a lot of customer presentations, etc. And just a couple of slides that I have to work through in terms of our agreement with Microsoft. We have something we call proof of execution, where we have to prove to them what we've done. So I've got a couple of slides that I've got to get through. We've got to get screenshots of this as well for Microsoft, and then I'll jump straight into showing you guys the product. Just a little bit about the product. I actually do have a separate screen that I actually popped up over here. There's actually a Wikipedia page if you guys want to go and find out a little bit more about Business Central. It actually even gives the whole history. So Business Central is a product that actually started in 1984 in Denmark. It was a DOS-based product back in the days. But Business Central today is actually the migration path for a couple of different products. So when Navision was mainly out of Europe, Microsoft bought another product called Great Plains, which was mainly a US-based product. So there's also another product called C5 and another product called Solomon's that Microsoft has acquired over the years. So Business Central is basically the migration path for all of these products. So if you've heard of any of those products, Great Plains is the logical next step. And there are upgrade paths from a lot of these products down through to Business Central. Now, you can see over here, Business Central is international, and it's a full ERP system. I mean, it's not just a small little accounting system. It is full ERP. There are way more than 1,400 implementations throughout the African market. There are over 100,000 implementations of Business Central worldwide. And the average user size, you're looking at about 8 users, which means that Business Central is pretty much installed mostly in smaller types of customers worldwide. But the nice thing about Business Central is it does scale all the way up. The biggest implementation we've got in the African market is over 1,500 users. I think actually they're sitting on about 1,800 users at the moment. So just to show you how big the product can scale, which means that if you are a small to medium-sized business with aspirations of growing and you put in Business Central, you wouldn't need to change your system when you've grown a little bit. So there's a lot over here to read, a little bit about the history, etc. But over the years, like Tian said, the business has gone through a couple of name changes. Firstly, when we got bought by Microsoft, Dynamics is the division in Microsoft that deals with ERP and CRM and everything else. And within Dynamics, there are actually an entire host of products. So there are HR solutions, there are more advanced CRM solutions. So if Business Central CRM, you outgrow Business Central CRM, there's even a bigger solution that you can go to that's already integrated into Dynamics. So I don't even know how many products there are. I think 18 or 24, somewhere around there in the Dynamics suite of products. Of course, we're focusing on Business Central here today, but there is a lot of information over here. Any of you guys that are interested, you can go and read up on that page over there. There's quite a bit of information on there as well. So that is Dynamics 365. And Tian has already given you guys a lot of introduction over there, so there's not that much that I need to say about that, but specifically Business Central, it's part of the Dynamics family, and it's targeting small to medium sized businesses. So let's quickly jump straight into the product over here. Let me go and show you guys the actual product and some of the nice features and things that we have. Let's just see if I can drag this presentation bar out of the way over there. So there we go. When you come into Business Central, this is the home screen that you get to. So the home screen is based on your role within the company. So when you log on to the product, you get a specific role center that you log on to, and it's usually tailored around the things that you need to see and the things that you need to do on a daily basis. So over there, I can have a look at my overdue sales invoices. So these are invoices that customers haven't paid yet, and I can see over there that even though there's a couple of invoices and a couple of rand outstanding, it's still showing me a green bar over there, which means that that is still, in terms of the limits that I have set, that is still acceptable. As soon as it turns to amber, you'll see this one over here turns to orange, and then it'll even turn to red. And you can set your own limits over there. Every user can set limits for the information that appears on their screen, what information or what limits they want. So for sales quotes over there, our open sales quotes that hasn't been closed yet, I can say that from 0 to 10 is acceptable, 10 to 20 it should turn to amber, and then anything above 20 it should turn to red. And then right on your home screen when you log on, you will start getting sort of warnings and information that you need to take a look at on a regular basis. There is a huge amount of effort put in by Microsoft in terms of user training and things when you log on. So when you start using the product, you'll see there's all sorts of things like show demo tours, hi, welcome to Business Central. Every time you open a new page, you can view a little tutorial on the page that you're on. There are training videos that you can access straight from within Business Central, etc. Closing that, basically once you've been using the product for a while, you can say that you don't want the tours anymore, and then you'll just get straight into your home page. So you can see that, and even the home pages can be tailored per user. So you can you can even create your own role centers based on the roles that you have within your organization. But the information that is then presented, you'll have your menus at the top over there, the sort of activities that you do on a regular basis over there, some KPI sort of figures, key performance indicators over here that you can see that immediately tells you, listen, here's something that you need to pay attention to. And then you can even integrate this with some reports and things at the bottom, and even Power BI, like Tian mentioned, the Power suite of products. You've got your Power BI integration straight in Business Central. So if you've even written some Power BI reports, you can have them show straight on your homepage when you get in. But let's start having a look. Obviously, I would love to have 6 hours to show you guys the entire system, but we try and cram as much as possible as we can into the limited time that we've got. So what I'm going to show you is just a couple of features here and there that I think are some of the more wow features. So let's just jump straight into one or two little features. Let me get my notes over here. You can see all the stuff that I have said I want to show you guys. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the Outlook integration. Within Microsoft, what they've done is they've taken a look at Business Central and this of information are they presented with on a daily basis. And the type of information that you deal with can be categorized into two main categories. You get structured and you get unstructured data. If I told you go into your accounting system and go and find an invoice against a specific customer, it's not that difficult to find that information because within a database like an accounting system, your data is fairly structured. It's fairly easy to get through that data. But if I told you to go to that, you know, the famous P drive or S drive or Z drive that companies have within their organizations, you know, where all the files just gets dumped. If I told you to go and find something, and it's going to take you a little while longer. And I know most of you have struggled through some of those directories to try and find the information that you're looking for. Email is another example of unstructured data. Have you ever tried to find a specific email that you sent to someone or that someone sent you? So what Microsoft has done is they've said, we need to do a couple of things to get this structured and unstructured data a little more integrated into one another so that users, when they are working on a daily basis, can perform their regular work tasks a little bit easier. So I don't have time to show all the features that Microsoft has done. I'm going to highlight a couple of them. If you guys want to see anything else, feel free to contact us at any point in time and ask us for you know, more detailed presentations. But one of the things that they've done is if I go into Business Central and I go onto my list of customers over there and I open a specific customer, all I need to do to activate this is basically just type the email address of the customer in the email field against the customer. Now, in Business Central, we also have, if I go over here to related customer contacts, okay, so this is now going into the CRM side of things. So you can, for every organization, you can also add all the contact people you have at that organization and add all of their email addresses in here. That activates the feature as well. So you could have multiple email addresses against every customer. So all I did was I came into this customer, typed in my email address over there, and then I went into my Outlook, okay, and I went and typed up an email, okay, to that specific email address. And I hit the send button. And I said, please send me a quote on the following. Okay, so I've just sent that email again. I just want to show you guys that it's just the same email that I'd sent before. I was afraid that it doesn't come through quick enough, so I pre-sent it just before the presentation. So in here, what Microsoft actually has done is when there is an email address up here, and that email comes from that person, Microsoft takes that email address, scans through your Business Central, and finds a matching customer. So whenever you click on the Business Central button inside your Outlook, and this is just a small little setup, you just go into Business Central and you say, I'd like to activate the Outlook integration, next, continue, and off you go, and it activates this. But from here, I now have the ability to firstly go to Contact Insights. So what this allows you to do is if this customer sends you an email like, please send me my statement, please send me a copy of this invoice, or, you know, did you receive my last payment, etc. What this does is immediately inside your Outlook opens up all of that customer's details. What is the customer's outstanding balance at the moment? What is the balance of, you know, what is my sales in total? What's my year-to-date sales to this customer? You can see some aged accounts receivable in there. You can see details about ongoing sales, quotes, orders, invoices, etc. Previous shipments and invoices we've sent to this customer. What is outstanding sales orders, outstanding sales invoices. So these are sales orders and invoices that we haven't processed yet. Service orders, you know, how much payments has he made? What was the last payment receipt date? I can drill down on that and I can say to him, yes, we did receive your payment you made on the 19th of the 3rd, 2021. So sorry, my demo data is a year behind, but so it's in 2021 at the moment. So that's today in the life of Kronos. But you can see all of that information you've got right at hand over here, and you can drill straight down into that. But that's not where Microsoft stopped. They even went further than that, And they even included some artificial intelligence. So if you know anything about Microsoft, you know about Azure and everything else, and you can see on the left-hand side that email I sent earlier has now come through over there. But what they have done is they've even integrated things like the ability to straight from here create a new sales quote, new sales order, new sales invoice, etc. So if I go into this and I say, create me a new sales quote, the system pops up on the right-hand side, same way it did before, but it goes a little bit further than that. It takes every single word inside this email, and then it goes and compares those words against my stock list or my inventory or my item list. And then it goes and says, okay, wait a second, I found an item called an Athens desk. Is this the item that the user is actually trying to get to? So see over there, the guy said in the email, he said over there, please send me a quote on one Athens desk and one any chair. Okay, so it went back and resolved that item and found item number 1896-ish, the Athens desk. Okay, and all I can do over here is I can say, hey, yo, okay, that's the item I wanted to do a quote on. But the second item just said any chair. So it comes back and says, oh, wait a second. You need to resolve this item. I found 10 possible matches for this. Okay, there's a quantity of 1. But when I click on resolve item, it then goes and says, I found all of these chairs. Which chair are you actually looking for? And the user can then just go and pick, let's say he wanted the Mexico swivel chair. And then I can just say yes. And of course, if the matches wasn't right, you can pick the ones that are right, click yes. And that is less lines that you would actually need to create on your actual sales quote. Okay, so from there on, I just click yes, I'd like to create a quote. The system goes and creates the quote. Now, like you can see, this screen is a little small, so you also have the option to actually pop that out into a full screen over there. So see over there, it says open in new window. Okay, so because the 2 lines over here are exactly the lines I was looking for, I could literally just go here and I could say send by email at the bottom over there, and I send the quote via email back to the customer directly. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. That's the quote, but you could pop it out into a big screen and then actually type out the quote the way you would normally have done. But what you didn't need to go and do is you didn't need to go into a different screen, open up the customer, find the customer, open up a new quote, and then come back here. And that's just time saved. Microsoft didn't stop there with the integration into Office. There is a lot more stuff. You know, since I'm on the customer list over here, I can just quickly show you over here that any screen you go to in Business Central, there will be an open in Excel feature. So any information that you find over here, and I actually do this quite often, go and open data in Excel when I'm helping customers, for instance, do creditors recons. So you know, the creditor sent a statement, and you know, from the statement down to the entries that you've got on the system, you've got a problem matching that information. So you go to the vendor's entries, you say open in Excel, and all that does is the vendor's entries that you've got on the screen, it downloads an Excel file that you can just open up, and the information is right there on your screen, and you can already start using that information and you know, sort of doing a reconciliation. Excel is a tool most often used by accountants, and Microsoft actually knows that as well. So what they have also done is they've also given us the ability on certain screens, this is not available on all screens, but to edit information in Excel. Like for instance, I've got 200 customers and I've got 10 salespeople, and one salesperson leaves me and another one joins us. So against every customer over here, when I open the customer card, I can go and assign that person against a specific salesperson. So you can see over there that this guy is assigned to salesperson JO, which is Jim Olive. So if a salesperson leaves and another salesperson joins, and I need to reassign all his customers, you would usually have to go into the system, filter, find all the salespeople that that customer belongs to, and then one by one go and change it in here. Well, if you just quite simply go edit in Excel over there, then it opens up Excel, and you have the ability to go and filter and then just copy and paste the information in Excel and then just import it back into Business Central. Now, I would have loved to show that to you guys, but unfortunately last night on my servers and things that I use for demos, of course, we log in with like 20, 30, 40 different demo accounts and things like that. So my security got a little bit messed up on this demo server. And that happened early this morning. So unfortunately, I couldn't show you guys just the edit in Excel feature. But if any of you are interested in that, remember on your implementations, you will have one user that you log on as, not like ours where we have security issues and things like that, where we, my Excel is registered against a different user than the user I'm actually using here for the demo. That was actually the main problem that we struggled with. But yeah, you have the ability, open the information Excel, and you can do that on journals. Have you ever had to do a 12-line journal where you need to allocate an amount over 12 months? And you have to type out every single journal line. Well, with Business Central, you type out the first line, you say edit in Excel, you copy it down 12 lines, you change the dates, change the amounts if you need to change that. And the nicest thing about it is because it's Excel, you can use formulas in those. And then all of a sudden you've got that information, you say publish back to Business Central, and then it pushes the information back into Business Central. And any and all types of validations that you would normally have within Business Central, you have in Excel as well. So if you pick a salesperson that doesn't exist, the system won't update. It'll tell you this salesperson doesn't exist. If you try to do something in Excel and publish it back that you didn't have the rights to do within the system, of course, it would stop you over there as well. And then, of course, there's security features around this as well. If you don't want users exporting data into Excel, this is a security thing that you can just switch on and off as well. As Tian mentioned, there is full multi-company functionalities within Business Central. This product originated out of Europe, so it's got full multi-language, multi-currency, multi-company functionality, consolidations. You can do consolidations across different versions of Business Central. So if you've got multiple companies within your organization, they're running different versions of Business Central, you can still consolidate that data into one consolidated company. You can consolidate across multiple currencies. So if you've got companies in different countries in Africa and you need to consolidate across multiple currencies, the system can allow that. Multiple percentages. So if you own only a certain percentage of a specific company, you can only consolidate a certain percentage of their charts of accounts, etc. Lots of features in the in terms of that. Because it comes out of Europe, it's got all the VAT features. And like Tian said, everything's been configured by them for the South African market. So, and even the types of VAT that we don't have within South Africa, there is lots of functionality. So if new types of VAT is actually introduced into South Africa, we'd be able to deal with that. If reverse charge VAT is ever introduced, if a realized VAT is ever introduced, there is a VAT rate change tool within the system. So if the VAT percentage ever changes, there is a full configuration with that. If Microsoft SARS ever decides, or the government ever decides that they're changing all zero-rated VAT items to 1 or 2%, there's full functionality within the system to deal with any of those types of scenarios. I want to jump a little bit into the admin center in the back over here, just show you guys a little bit of features over here. So this is the environment that I'm busy using at the moment. This is an environment that I provisioned a little while ago, and I specifically chose this environment so that I could jump in here and show you guys that you have full point-in-time restore features available for the last 30 days. Oh, sorry, this thing has just logged me out while I was away. So let me just refresh that, let it log back in. Okay, so if I look at my environments, I go into my production environment over there. I want to show you guys that built into Business Central, you have the ability to restore to any point in time within the last 30 days. So if I wanted to restore, I made a mess yesterday of something, and I wanted to restore yesterday at, let's say, 10:56 a.m., you have the ability to do full point in time restore up to the last 30 days. Microsoft also gives you the ability to create up to 3 sandbox environments. So a lot of the times you have questions about, something went wrong with some calculations and you did some VAT wrong, etc. And you want to now reverse things in a certain way and you're unsure about what the impact of that is going to be. You can come in here, take your production environment, copy it to one of these environments we call a sandbox environment, and you can go and mess around in there and see, what if I do this? What if I do that? What is the results going to look like, etc. Before you actually do it in your production environment. So there is a lot of features with regards to that I could delve into as well. But I just want to jump into the full product menu over here as well. So if I go into the full list and I say explore more roles over there, I want to run you guys through everything that is in there. There is a feature called the Company Hub. So if you are actually running multiple Business Central installations across multiple countries with multiple different localizations. Oh yeah, and this is one of the things I actually wanted to show you guys over here is that the Business Central has been sold for many years and is available across many different countries. But at the moment, Business Central is actually available in 47 countries, the cloud-based version. So there are 2 editions of Business Central. If you don't want to go cloud, there is also an on-premise solution available for Business Central and the Business Central Cloud. And now I can't remember exactly where it is. There are 24 official country localizations and 47 additional localizations provided through partners for different countries. So in South Africa, we are one of these 47 countries. Okay, these 24 official localizations are done by Microsoft, and that's, for instance, for the UK, the US, Canada, Mexico, India, you know, where the amount of localizations also include translations. So Business Central is available in 24 official languages as well. So if you have a head office in Germany and they need to run the German version and you need to run the English version, but you want to run off of one implementation, within Business Central, you can just switch the language that you're actually using as well. So when you have complex installations like that, you use the Company Hub to switch between companies. There is a small HR module available within Business Central. Not very comprehensive, but gives you the basics that you need. Doesn't include things like payroll. Usually we would integrate to payroll systems to get the payroll component into the finances. There's a full purchasing module with planning, inventory costing, requisitioning, and all sorts of things like that integrated into it. There is a service management component in Business Central. So if you're a service-based organization, and this is part of the premium product. So remember, there's an essential and a premium version of the product. So if you bought the premium product, you get access to the service module. So if you're any type of service-based organization, and that includes counter servicing. So you've got a service counter, you sell laptops, something breaks on the laptop, customer brings it back, he checks it in, you book it in for a quote, it gets put on a specific shelf, a technician gets assigned to it, he does a quote gets sent to the customer. The customer accepts the quote, then the repair is actually done. The spare parts are booked onto that laptop. We can even keep track of serial numbers and serial numbers of items installed inside. So if you wanted to keep track of the serial number of the memory installed inside a specific computer, etc., you could track all of that. Field service management, if you have technicians going out, there's even service contracts involved in that. So if you have a specific contract and you bill on a regular basis, that's included in there. There is full workflow built into Business Central. There is actually 2 types of workflows. There is the built-in Business Central workflows. So let's say, for instance, you just want an approval process when you change your customer's credit limit, or purchase orders above a certain amount needs to go through an approval process, and all sorts of things like that. There is a built-in workflow in Business Central. But then there's also Microsoft Flow workflows. So if you wanted a workflow that needs to kick off an Outlook, then go to SharePoint, then go to Business Central, then back to Outlook maybe, or anything like that, we can use Microsoft Flow to develop advanced workflows and things like that. Rapid Start over there, that is the tool that Tian was talking about, that they've built the Go solution on the rapid implementation. There is a full manufacturing module within Business Central. So, and there are some big manufacturing companies in South Africa running manufacturing on Business Central. There are quite a couple of companies in the motor industry, companies that supply BMW, Mercedes. There are companies that supply components. There are, off the top of my head, about 7 or 8 companies that I can think of very quickly that is in the motor industry, big suppliers that actually run Business Central's manufacturing to do all of their manufacturing planning, their material requirements planning, their master production scheduling, everything that goes along with manufacturing is in your bills of materials, phantom bills of materials. So if you're in the manufacturing industry, you're interested in this module, let us know, we'll give you a full demo on that. You have your resources within Business Central. Now, the resources can actually be used in the service management, but the resources can also be used in the jobs module. So I have a resource like a forklift, so it can be any type of machinery or a person. And against that resource, I can set up a certain amount of capacity. So I can say this guy works 40 hours in a week. So that is his assigned capacity. And that same resource could be used on jobs and service management at the same time. So we actually manage the resource constraints from the resources over here. And that resource, you can also set up different types of things. So if you bill per kilometer on that resource, when they travel out to customers, if they work normal time, time and a half, or overtime, you can set up all those times. You can set up costs and billing rates against those resources. And when they are used on jobs and services, it actually calculates how profitable resources are. And it also calculates, your profitability on a specific service job or a specific job. Warehouse management, so full warehouse management in Business Central. There are, in actual fact, 7 different levels of warehouse management in Business Central. So from the level number 1, where you have a company, they don't run multiple warehouses, they've got one warehouse, they don't have separate receipting and putting away processes, they don't have separate picking and dispatch processes. It's just, they have a purchase order, the goods arrive, we check against the purchase order where everything is there and check it into the warehouse. And when we have a sales order, we check what needs to go out and we ship it out against the sales order. Very, very basic warehouse management, all the way through to full warehouse management, where you've got a separate receiving process. From the receiving process, the stock needs to be put away into the warehouse. You've got bin policies, bin control. You've got multiple zones. So if you've got bulk zones, picking zones, very advanced warehousing, cross-docking stock from the receiving to the dispatch department. If you've got certain policies that needs to be adhered to, certain stock needs to be stored in a dry store, a cold store, a frozen store. The system will tell you what to do as soon as a truck arrives, what stock needs to be put into the freezer immediately, that type of stuff. And full integration into barcode scanning and all the rest of the stuff as well. Then you've got your financial side of things over here. So you've got your general ledger, cash management, cost accounting. So there is a full cost accounting module. Very few companies actually do cost accounting. So that's the type of thing that happens after your financial accounts are done. And then you hand your stuff down to your cost accountant, and he'll start doing your cost accounting for you to try and figure out how profitable different product lines or manufacturing areas are, etc. You've got cash management. So there's full cash flow built into Business Central as well. And in actual fact, I'm going to show you guys how some of the AI has even been integrated into the cash flow. In actual fact, why don't we just jump into that just now? So you can actually set up your cash flow forecasts over there, and you can actually set this up and you can run multiple different what if scenarios. So I can just go and tell the system, listen here, go and look at these bank accounts to tell you what my liquid funds are. For receivables, go into my accounts receivable, go and look at my customers, check on which dates the invoices are due for payment, and then tell me when I will be receiving what type of money over there. Same thing with the payables. Go in there, have a look at the payables. Do you want to bring your sales orders and your purchase orders into consideration for this? Do you have manual payments that you make, like rental payments? Do you have manual payments that you get, like rental receipts, etc.? Debit orders that go off for maybe not telephone, because you might run that through a vendor, but insurance or something like that. All of those types of things you set up over here, and then you go and run a sort of a cash flow worksheet. This is a what if scenario. So you go into your cash flow worksheet over here and you go and say, listen here, suggest me some lines. And then this is where you play your what if scenario. So you go and say, go and use a specific forecast over here. And then when you use that forecast, go and include my accounts receivable, include my liquid funds, include service orders that I'm busy with, or don't include that, include my accounts payable. So very basic cash flow. Let's just do liquid funds, accounts receivable, accounts payable. Okay. And then I can even include a GL budget, and I can go and say, include certain figures out of that budget, in my cash flow forecast. But then over here, it says Azure AI forecast. Okay. Now, when you activate that, Then what Business Central is going to do is going to have a look at these receivables over here. And what Microsoft has done over here is they have just written a couple of things and shown us what is possible with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So what this is going to do is when this goes into your accounts receivables to pull in your accounts receivable, it's going to analyze every single customer's payment behavior. So if you have one customer that always pays sort of like 3 or 4 days before the due date of their invoices, it'll put your cash flow to come in 3 or 4 days earlier. But if you have a customer that always religiously pays 7 days after the due date of an invoice, it'll analyze their payment behavior, pick up on that, and then it'll only put that cash flow to come in 7 days later. Okay, so that's the type of things that Microsoft has already built in, but Microsoft has actually given us the tools. So anything that you can use machine learning for to analyze data within Business Central and do predictions for you, Microsoft has given us the tools to develop that type of stuff on top of Business Central. So we could actually take a look at what they've done with something like this, and we can expand on that. So even if you want to change how the machine learning works over there, or the rules that it uses to do the machine learning, etc., we actually have the tools to go into that code and actually modify it as well. Okay, so just some of the little brag points that we've got about Business Central. Let's go back and just quickly finish the rest of the modules so I can show you guys what's in there. I see we are at 6 minutes past 9. Tian, just correct me if I'm wrong. I've got until past, eh?
Same, so it's myself here. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay. I just wanted to make sure I'm over time. So on the cash management over there, sorry, if I just say explore more roles, that's the full system over there. So there we've got the cash management. So yeah, we've got the jobs module within Business Central. So if you run projects, okay, and those projects run over multiple accounting periods, and you want to calculate your profitability on those jobs, could be building a house. Let's use that as an example. So you might go onto a site, dig the foundation, cast the foundation, and when you get to foundation height, you might get an advance on that project. So at the end of the first month, you might need to calculate work in progress, because that's, you've got a lot of expenses, but you haven't got any income. At the end of month 2, you've got a lot of income, but not a lot of expenses, because now you are paid up to the foundation level. So this deals with every type of aspect that relates to a job like that. Calculation of work in progress, and that work in progress could be you received a big deposit up front. Now you've got a lot of money coming in, but you've got no expenses, so you want to take that money up to your balance sheet and not show it in your income statement in the first month. Everything that relates to a job, you've got your different jobs that you can set up, and you can see that everything that you need to run projects is actually built into the product over there. And then you've got your sales and marketing modules. So in the sales and marketing, there is full CRM features in here. So there are some marketing features in here that you can utilize. So marketing automation is the actual area that it's called. So any type of marketing that you've got where sorry guys, my daughter is absolutely spamming my phone over here. Just want to switch the thing off. I did have a look and it's not urgent. So in the marketing area over there, you can have segments and you can run marketing campaigns, and you can log all the expenses that you have against that marketing campaign, and you can measure the amount of responses that you get from the marketing campaign. You can measure how many of those responses turned into quotes, how many of those quotes turned into invoices, and you can measure the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns. And then, like Tian said, there is full sales management in here. So Salesforce automation is the area that it's actually called. So you can log your different opportunities that you've got. You can assign sales cycles against those opportunities. It can create to-dos for your salespeople to follow up on. It can log how many of those opportunities you won and how many of those opportunities you lost. You can measure your won-loss ratios against that. So there are a lot of sales features in here, a lot of stuff that I haven't even mentioned. There's pipeline management and all sorts of stuff like that. Once again, if you guys are interested in any of these other areas, we will set up a separate presentation and go into depth on that for you guys. Let's quickly have a look at my list of things to show and our time that we've got left over there. Oh yeah, I made a little note on the side over here. Tian actually mentioned Business Central making coffee. There's actually a guy on YouTube that went that far. He said, you know, Business Central is so brilliant, it can do everything, even make coffee. And he wrote an integration into a coffee machine from within Business Central. So when you did a certain something in Business Central, the coffee machine would automatically make a cup of coffee. So literally Business Central could make coffee if you wanted it to. And the way in which it achieves that is actually through a model that's been developed by Navision and Microsoft over the years. Now, let me quickly, I'm going to draw you guys a little diagram just to sort of put you into the picture of how the product is actually developed and what the capabilities are for it. So when Microsoft releases the product, they actually release a product they call the W1 product. And W1 actually stands for worldwide. So it's a worldwide product. And what Microsoft puts into this product is what they call the greatest common denominators. And there's actually a website, Business Central Ideas. And you can go onto this website and the entire partner community worldwide and customers can go onto this website and log ideas from Microsoft. They can go on there and they can say, listen, yeah, this works brilliant, but I think you should do this. And then other partners and customers can have a look at that and they can look at all these different ideas and then they vote these ideas to the top. And what Microsoft does is they actually have a look at these suggestions and they implement those suggestions into the W1 product when they think that it's something that can be used worldwide. Microsoft then hands this product down to the local country offices. Okay, so within every country, and this used to be called in the old days the NTRs, Navision Territorial Representatives. And these guys are responsible for two things. They're responsible for translation and localization. Okay, so what's meant with localization is within every country, there's specific features. Like in South Africa, if an invoice needs to have the word tax invoice at the top, and you know, there's small little details like that where the W1 product might just say invoice, but in South Africa we needed to say tax invoice. So the localization is split into two types of localizations. So there's different country localizations and through partner localizations. Like I said, there are 23 countries that do their own localization, and through partner localizations, there are 47 countries where the localization is done through partners like preferred solutions and like what we do in South Africa. And Microsoft actually approves these, and then once they approve it, the product is allowed to be released within a country. But then the NTRs hand the product down to the partners, and you get two different types of partners over there. You get partners that are called ISVs, so independent software vendors, and then you get partners that do implementation. So partners that go out and put these solutions in for customers. So an ISV partner, what they basically do is, because Microsoft only puts the greatest common denominator, stuff that can be used by all companies worldwide into the product over here, of course, there's going to be industries where the product is not going to be a 100% fit. So Microsoft had a look at the mobile phone and took a sort of a card out of their deck of playlists that they've got over there and the app store that you have on the phones. And Microsoft developed an app store for Business Central. Okay, so if you go into Business Central over there and you go and have a look at the extension marketplace, there's actually a marketplace available on here of applications worldwide that you can actually purchase to expand on the functionality in Business Central. The very first company we implemented in South Africa that bought an app off of the app source that went cloud was a good couple of years ago. I think it was 2009, just after we launched Business Central in South Africa in 2008. And they needed a loan solution. So their main business model is they lend money to companies, and you know, everything that goes along with loans. So you've got to send statements out on a regular basis. You've got to calculate interest. You've got to calculate late payment interest, and you know, send out reminders if customers haven't paid, and everything that goes along with any type of loan. And we went onto AppSource. We found a loan solution over there. And what basically happens is it's the same as your mobile phone. These apps just extend on the functionality of Business Central. But not only that, the partners also have the availability partners like preferred solutions, has the ability to extend on the functionality of Business Central. And that's exactly what Tian has done when he went and wrote the cashbook solution for Business Central to make Business Central work and exactly the way you would expect a cashbook to work. And you'll see over there LS Express, for instance. So if you need point of sale, there are solutions in here for the abattoir industry. There's a company in Cape Town even that's written a wine solution for Business Central. There are solutions in here for petrochemical, hospitality. There's even solutions in here for unified commerce. So if you wanted to do unified commerce, so you wanted your ERP solution to integrate into a point of sale, to integrate into an e-commerce solution, and everything looks at the same database, fetches the pricing, the stock availability, the customer information, everything from one central database instead of having multiple separate solutions. We can even do unified commerce with Business Central. Let's just see, has anybody been monitoring the chat? Can we, oh, okay, yeah, perfect. We'll leave 10 minutes for Q&A at the end. Let me just go through my list. I think I have shown. Tian, is there anything specific else that you wanted me to show that I might have skipped over? I jumped around a little bit on my list. I didn't work from top to bottom. I wasn't sure about the timing. So let me just read through this and see if there's anything else. Is there any questions from anybody? Let's start questions. Okay, yeah, there is on your inventory items. There is full planning built into Business Central as well. So when you set up your inventory items over there you set up all of your information about your inventory item. Here you can see everything about stock availability, etc. in the inventory tab. The cost and posting tab over here has all the details about your costing information. Business Central supports up to 5 costing methods, FIFO, LIFO, specific, average, and standard, even though LIFO is not really accepted by the generally accounting practices of South Africa. The product has that ability. We actually even have had scenarios. There was a pharmaceutical company in South Africa that was a German-based company, and their costing method wasn't one of these 5 costing methods. We wrote a custom costing method for them. So even if what you've got there is not available, it doesn't mean that we can't do it. Pricing and sales information. Then if you have a look at the replenishment tab over here, you've got full replenishment systems built into Business Central. So and it can even go down to stock keeping levels where you can say, if I run out of stock in Joburg, then purchase the item. But if I run out of stock in Cape Town, then transfer from the Joburg warehouse to the Cape Town warehouse. So you can set up your replenishment system over there. How do I replenish when I run out of stock? I purchase, I manufacture, or I assemble. And Business Central actually has 2 different manufacturing modules. There is an assembly module, which is just sort of it's actually called kitting in some other products as well. And the product used to be called kitting, but they changed the name to assembly. It's basically, if you just take a couple of things, throw it together, you haven't got any advanced manufacturing processes. You can use that instead of the full manufacturing. And then in the planning tab over here, this is where you can do all of your planning. So you can say, what planning method do I want to use? So fixed reorder quantity. So when I drop below my reorder point, let's set my reorder point at 10 over there, say for instance over there, they've set it at 25. When I drop below 25, I always order 50. So it doesn't matter what level I drop to, I always reorder a certain quantity, etc. So you can see over there, there's multiple different reordering policies that you can set. And depending on the policy that you set your reordering parameters or your order modifiers over here. Like for instance, if I buy beer, I can only buy a 6-pack at a time, or maybe I can only buy a case at a time. And so that will be my minimum. Oh, sorry, that will be my order multiple. Actually, I can only order in multiples of 24, but I need to order at least 240. I can't order more than 10 cases from this specific supplier that I usually buy from, etc. So all sorts of parameters and things. And then there is just a planning worksheet that you go to where you go and calculate and tell the system, please go and tell me what I need to order. And the system will, based on the planning parameters that you've set up within the system, go and order for you. But of course, that's not the only place where Microsoft stopped. They actually built a forecast module over here for us as well, that works on artificial intelligence. So what you can do is you can go and set up this forecasting module over here. Unfortunately, for this to work, I would need quite a bit more data, because the machine learning algorithm needs a bit of data actually to build up on. So once I've got a little bit of data on there, I can actually activate this, and then the machine learning algorithm will come and warn me over here every time. It'll come and say, hey, wait a second, you could run out of stock in about 3 weeks of this item based on the forecasting that I've done for you on how you utilize this item in the system. So that is available out of the box, doesn't even cost you anything extra in order to do that. Let me just quickly go back to the chat over there. Okay, is it possible to get some insight into the HR as well as multi-warehousing? Yeah, absolutely. So the HR module, I will show you just a little bit more on just now. Multi-warehousing, you can set up multiple different warehouses in Business Central. And if you have one big warehouse or one small warehouse and you don't have full warehouse management in the one warehouse, it is possible to set up separate levels of warehouse management inside the different warehouses. And then when you come to your different inventory items, against every inventory item, what you will do is you will go and set up stock keeping units on that item. And then the replenishment levels, because remember, in one warehouse and another warehouse, you're not going to keep the same stock levels. So when you switch between the warehouses, you can set multiple replenishment parameters, and you can also set up multiple replenishment methods. Like I said, if I run out of stock in my head office warehouse, I manufacture new items, but when I run out of stock in my branches, I just transfer from the head office warehouse. And the planning parameters will plan across the different warehouses. Yeah, demand-driven material requirements planning. There is certain elements of that available in Business Central. That's something we can take offline, but there are also quite a bit of tools available in the App Store. I think Microsoft is sitting on about 1,400 solutions in App Source that's available. So there is some solutions available that can have a look at that as well. Oh yeah, the document management module. Let me actually show that. That was another thing I wanted to show when I was talking about structured and unstructured data within Business Central. So if we're looking at structured and unstructured data, Microsoft actually has built in, and this is actually on the other database. I got this up and running over here. So if I go to purchasing over there and I create a purchase invoice, Microsoft has this feature when you create a purchase invoice in the system. You type in everything about your purchase invoice, and on your lines, you can purchase inventory items, or you can do expenses straight to GL accounts. You can purchase resources, you can purchase your fixed assets. So your fixed asset acquisition, you can actually do straight through a purchase invoice. And then you go and specify over their GL account. And let's say, for instance, I'm paying for some cleaning over there. Sorry, I didn't mean to actually click on that because now I deleted the line that I had created in there. And I fill in the amount of money that it's going to cost me. It calculates my VAT over there and gives me my total. And I'd actually used this database before to show someone how you would change a VAT percentage. And I changed the VAT percentage to 25%. So sorry about that. The VAT calculation, for those of you that did a quick calculation, your head is going to be wrong. But that's just because I've used this in a separate demo before. And then here you have your incoming document files. So what you do over here is you can now go and say, listen here, there is an invoice from my supplier that I'd like to attach against this purchase invoice. And all you do, and I copied a invoice that I just found on my desktop over there. It was just a plumbing invoice. And you attach that invoice straight in here. Now, I want to show you this incoming document feature. So you could even have a specific person within your organization that registers these incoming documents. There is full OCR features built into Business Central. Okay, so OCR, optical character recognition. So if I regularly get my invoices from, I go to Macro and I go and buy my stationery at Macro, and Macro automatically emails me a PDF file. I can just automatically import that PDF file into Business Central. And then I use OCR features. So it's an online service because we're already in the cloud. I set up my OCR over there, and then I go and say, okay, this is where you will find details about this, etc. You train that system, and then it goes and then you just map it. So you go and say, whenever you find this invoice from macro, this is where you find the invoice number. This is where you find the vendor number, and then map it to this vendor. So automatically go and create a purchase invoice. And then I bought a lever arch file. So I go lever arch file automatically maps to GL account stationery. So the next time I go and buy a lever arch file from macro, I import the PDF into the system. I use the OCR and automatically creates my purchase invoice for me. Then if I go and buy a stapler the next time, it obviously will come back and say, okay, wait a second, I don't know what a stapler is, and I just have to do that mapping. But it learns every time I do it. So the next time I purchase that item, I wouldn't have to do it again. But this incoming document is now attached over there. So at any point in time I want to see it, I can just click on it over there. It downloads it down here. You can just click on it and actually opens that invoice over there. So you can now actually see, the actual invoice in itself. But if I now go and post this invoice, okay, so let's go and process this into the accounting system. And okay, I've used it's because I changed the VAT setup at the bottom over there. I set up everything to do this demo, and then I never posted anything just to see if it'll actually post through. But I'm going to show you what I wanted to show you. In any case, when I go through, not general journal, sorry, general ledger, chart of accounts. When I go into my chart of accounts and I go to that specific GL account 8110 it was, so I could even search for it over there, or I can just type in cleaning. You'll see that finding information in Business Central, anything I type at the top over there, or if I type 8120 GL account number, or I just type 81, it'll find all the account numbers that's got 81 in it. And I go to my cleaning account over there. When I drill down on the entries, on the balance over there, it takes me to the balances. See, I've got access to those incoming documents straight from here. So if you are looking at the chart of accounts, or you're looking at your VAT entries, you're about to do a VAT return, you're looking at a VAT figure and you go, where does this VAT figure come from? Any ledger entry, customer ledger entry, item ledger entry, VAT ledger entry, any ledger entry you go to, that document follows the transactions all throughout the entire system. And you can, when you click on a line, you can see the incoming document and access that incoming document from any ledger. Okay, so and then that document actually lives within Business Central as well. So there is a full document management as well. It even goes beyond that. So and bringing back to that structured and unstructured data. So if you've got a bunch of customer contracts and things that you deal with on a regular basis. So when I open a specific customer over there, I can go to that customer's attachments over there. And there's two things I can do. I can add notes to this customer. So here I can type some details about the customer, or discussions, or anything that I want to type about the customer. I can type details about over here and keep notes about. And then you've got this links feature. So let's say, for instance, I signed a contract with a customer, or BEE certificates for my suppliers, or product fact sheets against my items, or anything like that. I load it up onto SharePoint, I get a link to the file, and then what I do over there is I go and say, well, to get to that file, there's the URL, okay, and I can say, this is the customer contract, or anything like that, and I say, okay. And then I keep links to documents and things about this. And on inventory items, it could be technical drawings, it could be CAD files, it could be product pictures, it could be designs, it could be anything like that. And when I click on it, it literally just takes me straight to that web page. So I just type google.com over there to give you guys an idea about it. But that's to help bring that structured and unstructured data together, and make the ability to find information a little bit easier. And just think about the possibilities. I mean, attaching details against customers, customer contracts, things like that, your vendors, agreements, BE certificates, anything like that that you would need to attach, inventory items. You can even do that against GL accounts, fixed assets, anything like that. Okay. I see we are running a little bit out of time. I will carry on for another 5 minutes, just trying to see how many of these questions I can answer quickly. But the stuff that I can't show and that I don't have enough time for, please get a hold of us and set up a demo afterwards. I don't think we're going to get through all these questions. Oh, there is actually an accountant license that you can get available with Business Central as well. So if you have an external accounting company that does your books for you, Microsoft gives you one external accountant license for, Lee, please help me with that. Is that still for free, the one that you get from Microsoft?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. So if you have an external accountant, you can even get one external accountant license for free from Microsoft.
I think just to add on to that, Bernie, sorry, there does have to be at least one fully paid license on in order to take advantage of that external accountant license.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, does the system provide audit trails? Yes, the system has a lot of audit trail functionality. So whenever I go to any entry against a customer, a vendor, an item, a VAT ledger entry, anywhere you go and you find a ledger entry within the system, you actually have the ability to navigate and find all related entries. So if I'm in the chart of accounts and I'm looking at a specific figure in the chart of accounts, I can actually hit navigate on that, find all related entries throughout the system. There is a source code, trail code, which will tell you what type of document created this entry. So if you're looking at an entry in the chart of accounts, you can see this came from a general journal, this came from a purchase invoice, this came from a sales invoice, this came from fixed asset depreciation calculations. Let me just source code setup. Let me just show that to you guys. So this actually comes pre-configured. This is something that we usually would only customize for massive implementations. But you can see over there, there's a source code for every type of transaction that happens in the system. So if you do a reversal, if you do a compressed GL, if you do a sales journal, if you do a cash receipt journal, etc., there's source codes and that trace that. There's also something called reason codes within the system. So let's say, for instance, you do a lot of credit memos. The clothing industry, for instance, has a big use case for this. Why did I do a credit note? It was the wrong color, was the wrong size. It didn't fit, the customer didn't like. You can create these reasons within the system, and you can make these reason codes mandatory. So over here, I can just go, for instance, WC is wrong color, and you can make these reason code mandatory for certain types of transactions, just so you can you'll be able to analyze this type of thing afterwards. So you've got the source codes, the reason codes, and then there's one or two more features in there that enables the navigation. Let's just see if there is okay, I think I have multi-warehousing. Oh yeah, does Business Central show the stock in the warehouses? Yeah, absolutely. So if I go to a specific inventory item over there, on my item, if I open a specific item in there, let's say, for instance, I go to this item and I say more items related, availability. I can see item availability by location, by variant. So if I've got a red and a green and a blue variant of the same item, by period, so over time. So if I have got a sales order with a future shipment date, I can see I've got 10 in stock now, but in 3 days, it'll drop to 5. By lot number, so if you do lot and serial number tracking, it will show you by lot number what you've got, because certain lots might have different expiry dates, etc. By bill of material level, so if this item is a bill of material item, I can see item availability by BOM level. This item is not a bill of material item, so I probably can't run that. Sorry, I clicked on it by mistake. But yeah, there is the ability to see that availability, and there is also a whole bunch of things, statistics and things that you can actually get to, and reporting and all sorts of things like that as well. Okay, I think I've answered. We're 3 minutes over time. I think I've answered most of the questions that I happen to see over there. If you are interested in seeing anything else, we are more than willing to set up some time with you guys, do a presentation on specific modules. Maybe the question about the demand-driven material requirements planning and dynamic buffer management. We can do a deep dive into that, as well as the HR module and the multi-warehousing at a later time. Tian, who can I hand back to just to do a wrap up from their side? From my side, thanks for taking the time and spending the time with us and listening to my rants and raves. And I hope you guys, I hope to see some of you guys again in the future. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Bernie. Thank you, Tian. This is Leon speaking again. We really appreciate your time. Everybody who attended, thank you so much for staying on for the extra few minutes. I hope you found it really interesting. If you have any inquiries, please contact Alicia Treater at the email address sales@prefsol.co.za. She was copied in on all the invites which was sent out with a Zoom link. So you can just reply on that email with the address. That's also alicia@prefsol.co.za. We thank you very, very much and I hope you have a nice day further.
Bye.